Hey folks, from Diamond Early's Lambda function to right Lambda functions, all the way to Giles Mail's more humble collection, the Excel esports community has shown overwhelming generosity in sharing their Lambda files. These are files full of custom Lambda functions designed to give the competitors an edge in the competition, but rather than hold it to themselves, they have shared it with the public and given away their secret weapons. Because of the incredible work of people like Brittany Deaton, Bo the Excel Wizard, Aditya, Benny, Hayden, Harry, Julian, and many, many more, the Excel esports community is able to stand on the shoulders of these giants and be more prepared than ever for this year's competition. With all of this wonderful collaboration going on, I couldn't idly stand by and not share my own collection to this wonderful pile of growing knowledge so that we can excel together. To share this with you, I just need to load up my super secret folder from my top secret, super secure, password protected, secret file, and I'll be able to share with you my Lambda functions. Let's have a look. I guess I haven't actually created any Lambdas yet. Maybe today we should build up some Lambdas ready to use in competition. I'm going to go make a list of the sort of things that I've had knocking around my head from watching other people's videos, reading through them Lambda files, and I'll be back in a few minutes with a list of what I want to include. See you then. Hey folks, I've made a little bit of a list of what I'm looking to do. I've split these out into groups, the things that are in my head that I want. As you can see, the first category isn't Lambdas at all. And then we've got some utility functions, some reference functions, with common symbols that come up in these challenges, some tweaks that are just similar to built-in Excel functions but slightly different, some set functions, array functions, text functions, some that are inspired by coding, some map-based ones, and some specials. So I'm not sure how I'm best going to go about this. I think I am going to start here, but I won't necessarily go through this list in order. But we'll see how we go. I'm going to try and build through a few of these, the ones that in my head I've not seen elsewhere. I haven't seen it as much. Things like building regular expressions as functions using VBA, because we won't have those, so we won't have the beta channel when we're doing the Excel esports. Multi-stack, I don't think I've seen elsewhere, so going to build that one up. I've got it in my head. I don't know if it'll work, but basically I want to be able to specify how many times I want to vertically stack things or horizontally stack things. Yeah, so I'll try and talk you through the more complicated ones, the ones I'm creating first. And then probably in another video, I will create a follow-up video with any I've built since then, which will be more like the ones you see elsewhere, things like splitting text or a palindrome. Although that split text, if I can get this regex to work, we'll use that, as that is the better way of going about it. I want to start with this regex implementation of VBA. I really love regex, regular expressions. I wish they were in the main channel. They aren't in the main channel yet. So I'm going to have a go at replicating these using VBA. Okay, so I've written some VBA code here. We have VBA RE matches. I'm not going to use these straight as they are. I think what I want to do is turn these into a Lambda so it prompts you as to what the things are as you're filling it in, the arguments. But this is what we've got. I'm using create object VB script regex. This probably won't work if you've got like a Mac or an older version of Excel, but this will hopefully allow me to create a let's try that again. Hopefully let me create a regular expression object without having to go into tools, references, and enable them. You can see they are not enabled here. This creates it. We'll start with this one at the bottom, which is the test one. This is pretty simple. I've changed, we have in, I'll show you these test cases in a minute, but in regular expression test at the minute in all of them, we have case sensitivity, but it defaults to false. So false for case sensitive. That I was finding a little bit brain bending, so I've called it ignore case. So true means you ignore case, and false is the default. And yeah, basically for this one, we're just testing is it in there. The next one is the replace one. Again, we create the object, we pass in ignore case and pattern. If it's 0, we replace everything. Otherwise, we check if the occurrence is greater than 0, in which case we do occurrence -1 because it's the 0th match of the first match because it's indexed at 0 like most programming languages. Otherwise, we add the count to the occurrence if it's a -1, so we get the negative view. And then we just check that we actually have any matches and that the target index isn't outside the range of number of matches. If it is, we just leave the text unchanged, which is what happens with the Excel version. I was tempted to make that an error, but I'm going to leave that as is. And then simply this only happens if you specified which occurrence to replace. We take the left of the original text up into the first match position, the right of that text from the end of the match position, and then in the middle we replace the match with the replacement. The reason we don't just put the replacement in there is because if you've used capture groups, which I'll show you a little bit about in a minute what I mean by that, if you've used that, then you don't want the regex expression in there, you want the result in there. So I'll show you what I mean by that in a moment. And then finally, this is the one with the most changes from default Excel. We've got the matches one. So return mode of 0, which is the first match, is the same as normal. List all the matches I've transposed. So Excel does that horizontally. I'm doing it vertically. I'll explain why in a minute. Return mode of 2 is the same as the Excel implementation of this in the beta channel, where we list all the sub matches for the first match across. And finally, return mode 3 is my own custom one. I really think this is something that should be included in the Excel version. This allows you to return all of the matches with the subgroups split out. So, for example, that's why I've got this transpose here, and I'll show you what I mean by that here. So this is our test string. This is a test string. It has a date and some text. The word this is in this text 3 times with 2 capitalizations. By that I mean we've got this lowercase twice and uppercase T once. So we're just going to test it for this, which is true. We're going to test it for 1 or more digits followed by /, which is true because of the date thing, and test it for not, which is false because it's not in there. These are my replace tests. So we can see here, I'm replacing these with there. So this one just gives you the same text again. This one replaces 12-03- / with there. And this one will replace the this here and the this there with the there and the there. Definitely made that difficult for myself with those replacements, but I thought it was funny. It doesn't replace the first this because the default is that it wants to be case sensitive. Down here, we are replacing the -1. So we're only replacing the last occurrence or the first occurrence. And here we are ignoring the case. So there we go. And if we add in a 1 there, that will only replace that first one. And those two this is. And this is what I meant about the capture groups. This says that here we've got one capture group, which is what the brackets show, of /d, which is a number with the plus meaning 1 or more, and then a // // which is an escape character, and then //. So you can see we've got 12 / and 03 /, so 2 different groups. You can then reference the groups using this. So this is saying replace any number of numbers and then a / with whatever the numbers were, whatever that first group was. And that's what we're doing here. And you can see we're testing it out there on an index as well. And we can see here that if we change that to a 2, we'll just get // rather than what we had. Awesome. And then this is our test for our matches. So that's the one with this. That's the one with the /d. And this is the one with the not, giving us an error. We change that to 1. We'll see this now comes vertically down, showing us all the matches. 2 gives us the groups. This is the only one with groups in it, so it goes across. And then 3 is my custom one that gives us each match with their groups out as a 2D array, which I think in theory could be really useful. So watch this space, that might yet be useful. Go ahead and borrow these if you want them, steal them. I'm going to be making everything in this available somewhere, not quite sure yet. Make sure you read the description and I'll make that clear in there. This, I think, is probably the most unique of anything I'm going to do. I've not seen anyone else do this yet. So go ahead and steal it. Everything else, I think, is probably stuff you will have seen elsewhere. But I am going to start with this Excel tweaks, as there are some things in here which I don't think I've seen, or if I have seen, I've glossed over it. So these are the next most unique. So I'm going to do these next. He says with unique in that list. So I'm just going to delete those there. This one here, obviously, it needs to be pasted in as VBA. What else do I need to say about this? It might not work. Please test it along with all these things before you use it in competition. Don't blame me if you use it in competition and it all comes crashing down around your head. But hopefully that won't be what happens. Okay. I have, when I've been exploring, I've seen lots of Excel gists. I'll try and make this available as a gist, probably. And it looks like you can then paste that straight into modules. I really like the way that they're set out in modules, so I think I'm going to build mine here in this modules bit, which I think is a bit unorthodox. But it suits the way my brain works, I think. So I'm going to go ahead and start building these out. So the first thing that I want to do... So the first thing I want to do is I want to delete all of that, and I'm going to create sections in mine. So let's just make a nice little section banner. Not at all what I meant to do there. Let's try that again. So what's this? This is going to start with Excel tweaks, because I think those are going to be the most unique. So, multi-stack. So I want some stacking functions. So I'm going to have VSTACKS equals Lambda, and that's going to be an array and number of repeats. And we're going to say if repeats equals 1, if repeats is less than or equal to 1, return the array. Otherwise, VStack the array and VSTACKS of array repeats minus 1. I think we need a semicolon there. Okay, let's see if this behaves, and then I'll show you what I am thinking. So let's take this as an argument, and let's pop in 4. It looks like that's working. I'm always finding myself copying the same thing over and over again, and then I'm worried, have I copied it the right number of times, wrong number of times? So we can see here, this is taking an array, in this case, these things here, and telling it I want 4 versions of this on top of each other. So 1, 2, 3, 4. I was going to set this to be if it's equal 1, but I wanted, if I want to put in a wrong number, something less than 1, it would still give me the original group. I think this should work even on a 2D array. Let's pop that to 2. Yeah, there we go. And perhaps unsurprisingly, I also want this going the other way, because it's always better if you go both ways. Let's just check that. HSTACKS. That's going to do that. And if we did this, we would get that. Perfect. Okay. So that is VSTACKS and HSTACKS. Those are my multi-stacks. Let's do some color coding then. I hate that color green. Does anyone else hate that color of green that Excel defaults to? Let's make a nice green. I'm going to go dark. I'm going to go nice, rich dark green. This is what you've come here for, to watch me set up a color of green that I like. And we've done that as well. Okay, I'm just going to chuck in then. Can I use full stops in these names? Let's try it. I'm going to make these into these here. So RE match equals lambda. That's a text. Can you type hint in this? I don't know. Return mode and ignore case. And that reminds me, I wanted to build up some things to help me with building these. So let's create a new thing at the top, which is that utility group. Utility. Cool. I'm going to call this one if omitted, first of all, lambda optional argument. So this is going to simply do this little wrap that we have to do every time. So if is omitted, optional argument, default return. So we want to check if this is omitted, and if it is, we want to return if is omitted, default return. What's my default return going to be? It's going to be a blank, otherwise default return. And otherwise, we're going to return the optional argument. So basically, same as if error, but with the omitted. And then I wanted to build one using logic. So I wanted omitted true, and that's going to be an optional argument. And because of the ways that these are passed in, I think these have to be optional arguments, as in with the brackets around them to tell them that it might be omitted. And then we're going to say either it's omitted or we want the value in it. Is that what I mean? So let's think this through. If it's omitted, then this is true, so this is true. If it's not omitted, this is false. And if this is true, then this is true. And if this is false, then this is false. So that should work. It's going to fail because I've not done anything with those yet. Can I? I can do control and slash. Amazing. Cool. Omitted, true. So with nothing in it, it's true. With something in it, it's true. And with false in it, it's false. Perfect. And I want to do the same thing. Why am I doing this when I've already built if omitted? I'm doing it because I think it is cool. So this is the false version. So what's this going to need to be? This is going to be, is it just the opposite of that? I don't think it is. So let's see. If it's omitted, then it's false. And if it's false, that becomes true. So that becomes false. If it's true, it becomes false. So that's not what I want to do. How about if we flip this one and then flip the whole lot? Let me walk this through in my head. So if this is omitted, then if it's omitted, then this is true. So this is true, so we get false. Perfect. And if this is false, then we get true, which becomes false. If it's false, this is false. So this is false, which becomes true. Okay. So false, true, false. And if we have something random in there, it's true. Perfect. Cool. Did I need those two? No, but I like logic, so that's what we've done. Okay, and then we're going to say let, and I'm going to use an underscore. I've seen some people doing this. I'm using an underscore for things which are private. I shouldn't be using them elsewhere. I'm also going to use it for things that I am optional arguments that I'm assigning a value. So return mode is going to be if omitted return mode 0. So return mode is going to be what we pass in, and otherwise it's going to be 0. And ignore case is going to be if omitted. That's going to be default omitted false. Ignore case, and then we can do. Will this let me do this? VBA rematches text pattern return mode case. Okay, I've just implemented our custom regex functions in here. This is so that we get the prompts here, so what we need to include, which we don't get if we do this. I mean, we can press Ctrl-Shift-A to get them, but let's do it this way. Awesome. Next thing I want to do then is, I've seen these done before, so let's do sets. Let's do some of the set ones. Sets. Cool, so these are going to be nice and easy. So we want a set union, which is going to be a lambda, and we're going to want a left set and a right set, and I'm going to return a unique VSTACK left set, right set. And I am perfectly happy just assuming that our sets are going to be vertical arrays because I'm using it, but just let it be known that this is assuming that your sets are vertical arrays. Set difference. For this, we're going to need our filter not in list. So put a pin in that one. To be honest, I think for all three of these, we need some of these. So let's do some more of those. Okay. What am I going to do? I'm going to do in list. So list contains, I think that's what I'm going to call it, lambda, and we're going to say a value, and we're going to have an array, and we're going to return is number x match value array. Nice and simple. Next we want a filter in lists, which is just going to be lookup values match array if empty, and then this is going to be filter lookup array values by list.contains lookup values match array, and then if empty, we want an if omitted, if empty, return no matches. Well, I'll do that for now. Fine. Can I just pass through that? I think that works, doesn't it? Will that still give me a calc error? Filter in list this by this. Yeah, okay, gives me a value, and then if I pass something in, hello. No. Did I not save it? I did save it. Why does that not work? I've not put a semicolon. That's why that hadn't worked. Okay, so that's working, that's working, that's working. Okay. And then we can just do the opposite. First, just by flipping that. There we go. Filter, not in list. These values in those three, we should get the other three. Perfect. And if we pass them all through, we should get a calculation error. Perfect. Okay, so we have a few more things now in our Excel tweaks. We have these three here. Let's grab Format Painter. So we have list contains, which is just the is_never_x_max strict, and then filter in list, because I'm always doing this, passing some values and an array to check if they're in, and then just filtering based on the ones that are in that, or the ones that are not in that. So filter in list, those by those, and you'll get those three, and not in this, you'll get the other three. Perfect. Why was I doing that? It's because I wanted to do set different. So I'm just going to create a little set here that's a bit of a mix and match. Cool. So set.union is going to be the unique combination of those. And set difference is going to be filter. Cool. So that is literally just doing the exact same thing, but I'm going to keep it, I think, because I like the completionist aspect of it, because we're also going to have set.intersection. Set intersection is just going to be if it's in list, so maybe we don't need these. We need the union. I'm going to include it. I'm going to include it. You might say this is duplication, but if my head is in that space, then that's important. If I'm thinking about sets, section. If I'm thinking about sets, I want to be able to use something that says set. Subsets is subset. So this is going to give me true if something includes everything within it, otherwise false. So we want the subset and we want the superset. Then we're simply going to say is in list, so they call it. List contains. Is in list. Is that a better name for it? No, list contains. Let's stick subset, superset, and then we want all of these to be true. Awesome. So this will give me false. And if I save it so that I can actually use them, that will give me false. Whereas if I did this, it would give me true. No, because I've got them the wrong way around. Now it will give me true. Yes, okay. And then the final one is the Cartesian product. How are we going to do this? I've seen this in a few different people's things. I've not really understood how they've done it, but I know what a Cartesian product is, so I'm going to use set to help me build this up. Cartesian product. So the Cartesian product is, I want all of, if I have this, and say this and these, then I want all the combinations. So I want all of these paired with is palindrome, paired with shift items, like that. And then they're going to want all of these with is palindrome again, but there's some with enumerate, and so on for every combination of those. So I think the best way to do this is just do it with two sets, and then you can combine them for more if you need them. What we're going to need. How we're going to do this. So I've got the left set and the right set. So I want to do multiple stacks of these things. So let. I want this. Again, I'm assuming that my sets are vertical and singular column. Okay, so what do I want to do here? So I want to, for each one, let's just think about these two. For each one of these, I want all of these stacked alongside it. So I think we can use our newly created VSTACKS for this. So can we use reduce for this? So I'm going to start with something blank. So you need to start with something in reduce. And then I want to be reducing it, but with the left set. And yes, I am assuming again that these sets are single columns. I will come back and deal with that if I need to another time. And I want to return lambda, which is the existing stack, the new element. And we want to free stack the existing stack. Alongside an HSTACK of VSTACKS, the new element, and the right set. But I need in here the number of right elements. I think I then actually don't need this one. Is that what I want? Let me see. So set.Cartesian product, left set and right set, and we've got, yeah, that's what we want. We just don't want that top thing. So we're going to call this our stacked sets. And then at the end, we're just going to drop our first row. Yes, look at that. And now, will this now work with a third set? Not quite. Okay. What about if it was the other way around? What if we had that going on? Just like give us everything we need. So we've got, yeah, so that works. So it works that way around, but not the other way around. I think that's good enough for now. So this basically is saying we count the number of rows in the right set, and then we stack those with the existing stack. Yeah. So for each value in the left set, this is where a thunk would come in handy, because then you could have this first argument being your complicated 2D array. Maybe I need to look into thunks a bit more, but for now this works, and it does work with multiple things. And then we could say set.Cartesian product of these with that, and that should work as well. This is now getting really long, but that is exactly giving us what we want, so that is good. Okay, I'm going to call that a win. Cartesian products done. I think most of the rest that is here are things that other people have done before. I've done both of those. I might just do the coding ones really quickly, and maybe a little bit of the maps, because I think of maps slightly different to most people, I think. Harry Gross got me down a rabbit hole, and yeah, so let's do a couple more. So I've seen shift functions in quite a few people's things, but most people seem to have a next and a previous. I'm going to try and build these both into one, so bear with me. Okay, this seems to be working as intended, other than the fact that if I don't specify this, which I want to give NAs, it gives NA for the whole thing. So let's just make a little tweak. I'm going to call this fill. NA is going to be is omitted fill. And I'm going to change this default replace to be blank. and we're going to call this result. And then they're going to return if result, if, what have I done there? If fill NA if that's false, then we want to return the result. Otherwise, we want to say if result equals first result. Is that what I want to do? That is what I want to do. Okay. Now the only problem now is if something is blank, it's going to be NA. But I'm fine with that. That's fine. Cool. Let's just make this be a number here. So 0, 1, -1 will take us backwards, -2 will take us backwards, -8, -9, so that's going to give us an error because it's too big. Perfect. Okay. So how is that working? We are again using our VSTACKS and HSTACKS, which is very cool. So we check if n is 0. If it is, we just return the thing we were given at the start. If it's bigger than 0, then we return a number of. Then we return top row dropped filled with the number of drops that we're doing. Same with an HSTACKS version. If it's a vertical one, I don't know how this will behave. If it is 2D, how will that behave if it's 2D? That will, what do they call it? Items shift. Let's see. It will do the vertical version by default. Of course it will. Yeah. Cool. I think I'm fine with that. And then we have to wrap this in an absolute here because you can't. That's not right, is it? That's what I mean. There we go. Cool. That is what I want to happen. Awesome. Right. What next? Enumerate. Okay. So I've written this little enumerate function now, which takes a set, takes a set. Sets. It takes a list and it gives you the list and where things are in the list. It also works horizontally, and if we do a 2D one, then it will put them into column. You can also specify a start value if you want to, and a step value if you want to. There we go. And then if it's a 2D array, you can specify whether you want it to do horizontal first. So at the minute, it is defaulting to true. So it's doing horizontal first. You can see that we've got, if we take these off, there we go. See, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. But if we set that to false, then we get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Where are we doing? Where's our list? There. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And that's how those numbers are working out. Awesome. We probably in that case just want to say sort of this. Just take up to there. Sort by 2 minus 1. 1. There we go. Cool. And then that will give us in order. Perfect. That is what I want, I think. Cool. Right. So that is those done. I want to do a little bit on maps just because I think of them slightly differently thanks to Harry Gross. And for this, I'm just going to do the this one, the complex. I'm going to do map.complex. I don't like the fact that it's called map, but we will live. And we're going to map range. And we're going to return. So this is a trick I picked up from Harry Gross. He uses complex numbers to denote the points on the map. This means you can then look things up based on its complex denomination, which is really useful. I know Diamond Early does things like timesing things by 1,000 and adding them together, but I prefer this method for a 2D map. So basically, this first part, the real number as it's known, is the column that it's in. So it's in C, which is the third column, and then the I part is the row number. But I also want to add a couple of other things to this. So I want to add the option to make it relative. Cool. So the first thing I've added is a relative thing, which allows us to basically set this to true, and it will give us the relative position. So it will give us 1, 1 for the first thing in that group. Versus without it, we get the position. But the other thing I want to do is I want to put in our H movement and our vertical movement as optional parameters as well. And now we're going to grab a let. H movement is going to be if omitted, H movement 1. V movement is going to be if omitted, V movement, and then a newly thrown H movement. So our little map complex function now takes an H movement and a V movement, which default to being the same. We don't include either of them, they're both 1, otherwise they're what you specify. And then it uses those to plot the complex numbers. So you can say, if you've got a custom thing where you're moving 3 across and 4 up, then that is in your complex numbers already. Perfect. There's a few more things I want to do. I'm probably not going to do any more for now. This is already a very long video. I will try and edit some things out, make it a bit more smooth. If I do any more work on this, I will do a video running people through them, but a bit less of the building. I think I've built all the things that I'm doing differently. Everything else will just be variations on a theme of other people's Lambda things. So let me know what you think. Let me know if they're useful. For me, I think the most useful things here are the regex replacements in VBA. And I really like the multi-stacks. I've been using those a lot, even just for building other functions. I've got a few ideas of things like multi-in-list and multi-in-text, multi-replace, which I want to build out. Those will hopefully be able to take functions as arguments, likewise with neighbor. I will pop this as a gist somewhere alongside the code for the VBA. I hope this was useful. If so, let me know what you liked, and I will try and create another video going through some of these other ones. If you're going to the Excel World Championship in Vegas next week, then please do say hello if you see me walking around. I am mostly going just to meet as many people as possible. I love this community. I love all the people involved with it. I want to meet as many of you as I can, so please do come say hello. Otherwise, please keep following the channel. Let me know if this was useful at all, even if you're not into Excel Esports. And until next time, keep excelling.